Now we're going to look at places in Bridgeport that have low mix. So let's start by looking at this census block groups layer. And this time I'm going to look at one of the diversity indices. I'm going to look at unit type diversity. Classify that. So actually this block, which was previously identified as having a lot of diversity, actually I think it might have been this one, high diversity on one level, this block has relatively low diversity in terms of unit type. So now let's take a look at the parcels. This time let's select the variable house type and classify that. And we have to go through the process again of taking away getting rid of these outlines, because it's very difficult to see what's going on here unless you zoom in and scroll around. So I'm first going to get rid of these outlines, and I'm going to change these colors a little bit so I can get a better sense of where my housing type mix is. I've changed the colors here. I'm going to turn the buildings off. So now I can really see where we've got blocks that have relative for the area are more homogeneous. This is a pretty mixed use kind of environment we're dealing with here. So, in terms of US neighborhoods, but for the sake of this exercise, let's go ahead and identify those blocks that seem to have a lower than average housing unit mix, and those might be areas that we want to target. I'm going to do that by clicking on blocks, and I'm going to select single feature. I'm going to just select these blocks. Clicking on these blocks here that seem to have a lot of homogeneity. See how we happen to have our selection color set to yellow, so you can't see that very well. You can change that by selecting Settings, Project Properties, and just click in here and change that to something brighter so you can see it. And I'm going to hold down the Control key to just select a series of blocks here. It's also selecting the parcels underneath. That's okay, we're not going to worry about that. So I'm just going to select what seem to be blocks with relatively high homogeneity. And these two, this one. Okay, so now if I turn these parcels off, these are my homogeneous blocks looking at the parcel level data. If I combine that with the census block data, I think what we're really interested in are areas that are homogeneous on two different measures, both in terms of census block group data. That's one way of looking at it, the Simpson Diversity Index for census block group data, but also looking at parcel data. So I'm going to really target these areas that are homogeneous on two different dimensions. I would say this area here and this area here would both be good areas to look at. So again, I'm going to zoom in here. I'm going to save this as a base map. I'm going to turn off these blocks and these census groups. Maybe I'll just have the parcels and the buildings. And I do want to have the blocks, but I'm going to clear out that selection, deselect. So this then becomes another area to target for intervention. And actually for this one, I'm going to turn off that parcel layer and just save this as my base map.